Hello and welcome to Morris Park. Today I'm going to show you a little bit of what it takes to heat my greenhouse and keep my cactus, succulents, and other plants happy for the winter. Now my tools pretty much for today are my little Toyota pickup and my steel 250 chainsaw. Now I'm not cutting any standing trees or anything, and as if you look at this wood, a lot of it is pretty dry and it's been dead for a while. A lot of the bark has come off of most of it. And this is prime wood for burning for this winter. It will keep the stove burning hot and good. It won't build up as much creosote when it's really dry like this. And keep a nice hot fire. Now, where I'm cutting today is actually a compost site. And if you look around, you can see all these trees and such that have been pushed over here on this compost site. And in this area, this is where they dump most all the trees and branches and garden debris and compost and such that people can't get rid of in this town. Now I'm about 12 miles south of Morris Park right now, but in a minute I'm going to take all this wood back to the park. The larger pieces, of course, I will have to put on a log splitter and split them down to fit the stove. The smaller pieces, such as this, won't have to do any splitting to. So, in just a minute, I'll show you what I do about splitting this wood. Okay, we're back at Morris Park, and I'm going to show you the second stage of what it takes to process this fuel for my greenhouse and what it takes to heat this greenhouse, basically. What I have here is a 22-ton log splitter. Basically, you can set the logs right here and split them like this, but really that's pretty hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on end and make things a little easier. Now, standing this on end, I'll be able to put the logs under here without having to lift them up and get them split. As you see behind me, these logs are pretty large. My stove will take pretty large wood, but a lot of it will have to be quartered up, some of it a little farther, and we'll get this split up and it'll make it just the right size to put in the stove, and so it'll burn well. So here we go. As you can see, this splits it up to a good size to where you can handle it. and it's easy to load through into the wood stove. After a bit, I'll show you my stove and how large pieces it can take. But basically, this is the second part of the process, and I'm not going to bore you with splitting this whole pile, of course. So, on to the next move. Now, as you can see, folks, I've got a bit of it stacked up here, but still quite a more to split. And this isn't the only place it will stay. This will actually be moved over to the stove, which I'll show you here in a second. Now here, I've got everything stacked up right over next to my stove. Now this stove is an outdoor wood burning stove. As you can see, it's vented right into my building. It actually goes into my little shop, and then it is blown out with a fan into my greenhouse. And I'll show you this. As you see, it stays kind of hot in there. And we'll just kind of rake these coals up a little bit. And we'll throw in some wood. Now, I'll have to do this at least 3 times a day. I'll have to do it about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Then I'll have to do it about 10 o'clock at night. Then I'll have to do it about 6 o'clock the next morning. On the coldest days, it gets to be a lot of work. When it starts getting down into the teens and the single digits, then I'll have to do it at 6 in the morning. Then I'll have to do it about 5 in the evening, 10 at night, get about 2 o'clock in the morning, do it again, and then hit it at 6 o'clock in the morning again. A lot of work. And as you can see, our trees are changing, folks. Tonight, it's going to get down in the 30s. Right now, it's about 43 degrees. But all this work that I've shown you here allows me for this. Keeps all this greenhouse here nice and warm. And so everything won't freeze. As you can see, right now, it's a little over 60 degrees in here, and I haven't got the stove wide open. The damper's turned down quite a bit, and as it gets colder, I'll open up that damper, and it'll stay warmer in here. And I'll have to do that accordingly, according to how cold it's going to get outside. And it can get down to single digits here in the Ozarks. So I've got to be very vigilant, very careful about what the temperatures are going to be able to keep all this up and going. Now you see there's a fan right there blowing out, and that's what brings the heat from my little shop there out into the greenhouse, because the vent for the wood stove comes in to the greenhouse like that. But it all allows me to do this, keep all this that I've loved for many years. I started this collection probably 38 years ago. And for at least 35 years, been keeping it here in the Ozarks with just this system. Yes, folks, it's a lot of work. A whole lot of work. But this is what I love. And for all you people that have cactus and succulents out there, will feel what I'm saying. You'll work hard for what you love. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park, wishing you a good night.